Dear colleagues and guests, today is the 29th of November 2021. Let me start the work of the Dissertation Committee dedicated to the defense of the dissertation of Aleksei Alexander Shpilman, seeking an academic degree of Candidate of Engineering Sciences in the academic field 1.1.2 mathematical numerical methods and software packages, undertook analysis of computer modeling of microtubule structures by the acts of the academic secretary of St. Petersburg University, Aleksandrovich Gnetov, I was appointed chairman of this dissertation committee. I, Aleksandrovich Doctor of Physical and Mathematical Sciences, professor at the Department of Informatics, St. Petersburg University. Also in the members of the dissertation committee include Svetlana Mikhailovna Bauer, Doctor of Physical and Mathematical Sciences, Professor of the Department of Theoretical and Applied Mechanics in Pittsburgh University. Can you see and hear us? Yes. Mikhail Sergeyevich Gelfand, Doctor of Biological Sciences, Professor, Vice President for Biomedical Research, Skolkovo Institute of Science and Technology. Can you see and hear us? Yes, sorry, Gelfand, that's a different stress. Yes, I can hear and see you. Lev Vladimir Shutkin, Doctor of Engineering Sciences, Professor, Interim Director of the Institute of Computer Sciences and Technology, St. Petersburg Polytechnic University, named after Peter the Great. Can you see and so? Yes, Helge Bergeskjøt, PhD professor, Uppsala University, Sweden. Can you see and hear us? Yes. Well, you have to say it. Yes or no?
Yes, I see you and hear you well. Yes.
Спасибо.
Thank you. And with us as the applicant, as the candidate, Aleksei Alexander Shpilman, and also his academic advisor, Boris Oksananovich Noviga, Doctor of Physical and Mathematical Sciences, Professor of the Department of Informatics, St. Petersburg School of Physical, Mathematical and Computer Sciences, National Research University, High School of Economics. Also, I would like to stress that audio-visual recording is carried on. It's being carried on the website of the St. Petersburg University and is broadcast online. It's accompanied by simultaneous interpretation between Russian and English. Well, also on the website of St. Petersburg, yes, there's an email where you can send your emails concerning the academic discussion at this session, and also the dissertation and the presentation. All questions should have direct relation to the content of the dissertation. You have to cite your affiliation name, and all questions that have no relation to the discussion of the dissertation, the text or anonymous questions will not be read. In accordance with the procedure of awarding in St. Petersburg University academic degrees of Candidate of Sciences and Doctor of Sciences, dissertation committee session is deemed legitimate if not fewer than 4 people out of the established membership of the dissertation committee is present, and not less than 2/3 of the established membership as well. And our dissertation committee consists of 5 people. All 5 people are present, including 4 people in an online mode with us. So therefore, we have the quorum. And please, I would like to ask member of the support officer for dissertation committee work to register the attendance list. And I would like to go over the The agenda for today's meeting, it consists of the following items: a short presentation by the chairman about the paperwork, 5 minutes that are received from that will be submitted by the candidate. Second, a short presentation of the candidate covering the key issues of the dissertation, not more than 15 minutes in total. All questions, the questions to the candidate strictly on the presentation, not more than 2 minutes. Answers of the candidate, not more than 5 minutes for all questions. And then all members of the dissertation committee will have a turn to assess the dissertation by reading their reviews or part of their reviews, and not more than 10 minutes per speaker. And then the chairman will also give an assessment of the dissertation. Answers of the candidate, not more than 20 minutes for all questions. An open floor discussion in which anyone present in the room will have a chance to speak, but you have to enter your name into the logbook. And when you speak up, please introduce yourself. Then not more than 2 minutes. Then I will read. The chairman will read questions that have arrived via email, but the questions that would take more than 2 minutes to read will not be read. Answers of the candidate, not more than 2 minutes per one question for the questions that have been submitted, email. And then the academic advisor will have 3 minutes to discuss the candidate. And then members of the dissertation council will deliberate their verdict, then open roll call voting, and then the verdict will be taken, and then the concluding statement from the candidate. Do we have any questions as to the agenda? Any objections? No? Then or objections? And if we have no objections, then I will have to start the going through the items on the agenda. Please, those in the room, turn off your mobile phones. Dissertation of Aleksei Aleksandrovich Shpilman, seeking an academic degree of engineering sciences in the academic field 1.2.2, mathematical modeling, numerical methods, and software packages. Was received analysis, computer modeling of microtubule structures was received for defense, was accepted for defense by academic secretary on the 5th of August 2021. The candidate wrote his dissertation in the High School of Economics, where he works as a senior lecturer, and where his academic advisor also works, and the number of publications is 9 in the refereed journals approved by the Ministry of Russian Federation, Ministry of Science, Russian Federation, none. Web of Science Scopus, 2 publications. All these documents necessary for the defense are in the personal file of the candidate, and they are available from the member of the station. Do you have any questions? Dear members of the station committee, do you have any general questions to the candidate? Do we have to go over the whole the paperwork that has been submitted? No, there's no need for that. Well, we understand that the whole package is there, so the relevant office has checked it, so therefore no questions. Aleksei Aleksandrovich, please. I'm very happy to present my thesis. Microtubules are one of the key components of the cytoskeleton, which in turn ensures the maintenance of the cell shapes, intracellular transport from the center to the cell to the periphery and vice versa, and the separation of chromosome pairs during cell division. Microtubules are dynamic structures, and understanding the dynamics of geometry and workers is important. The purpose of this work is to study microtubule structures, their geometry, dynamics, and self-organization process to identify the features affecting such structures. In this work, the following aspects of this topic will be investigated. Analysis and the reality of microtubule networks, using image analysis methods, modeling the dynamics of microtubule networks in a cell of algebraic geometry, modeling the dynamics of assembly in microtubule biopolymers. To achieve the set of goals, it was necessary to solve the following tasks. Collect a data set for training a deep neural network for image classification of microtubule networks. Train neural networks of various architectures on the obtained data set using various methods of data augmentation. Create a program that implements a model on the dynamics of microtubule network in a cell of complex geometry. To conduct in silico experiments to develop a model of self-organization of the cell of network in a quasi three-dimensional space. Reproduce all structures of microtubule networks observed in vitro. Let's start by analyzing the geometry of microtubule network. We investigate the effect of taxol and CV1 cells. After staining the cell for tubulin, the main component of microtubulous images are obtained where microtubulous white filaments are visible. The image on the left shows that the microtubules are normally form a radial network. Under the influence of the agent, the microtubules become entangled and the radiality is distributed, as can be seen in the image on the right. If we look at the images differing in the concentration of taxol, we see that the task becomes more difficult since the number of biological images is always limited. Such problems can be solved in one of three ways. The first way is analytical methods. The second one, presented on the slide, is a neural network of symbols architecture. The simplicity of the architecture presents overfitting, a phenomenon that often occurs when using machine learning methods on small data. We used a network with two convolutional layers and two fully connected layers. The third way is to use transfer learning. In this case, we can use the convolution part of the network and of a complex architecture pre-trained on a large amount of data, adding to it a small network using the features generated by the pre-trained convolutions. 2,000 images were collected for each class, no agent 0.1 mm and 1 mm concentration. And as you can see from the table, the method based on the transfer learning has surpassed not only other methods but also the expert marking of people. At the same time, transfer learning with a SVM instead of a small neural network also showed good results. R and S show the data augmentation use rotations and sharpened mask applications. The next aspect of the work was the creation of a computer model of the microtubule network in the cell. For the dynamics of one microtubule, we used the principles of chemical reactions. Thus, the probability of an increase in the length of microtubule tubulin polymerization depends on the concentration of tubulin. The same applies to the probability of nucleation, the appearance of a new microtubule. Microtubules and the model can also break under certain probability. The angle of polymerization of the microtubule was set randomly along a normal distribution. The program called the microtubule imitation or imitation was created. That's what this was before me entered the meme culture. The cell shape was set using a grayscale scale image in which was extremely convenient for researchers. There was no need to fiddle with complex three-dimensional edges. The program made it possible to reproduce many results observed in vivo. For example, the Michelson-Kushner experiment, in which the mechanical distribution of microtubules leads to the growth of polymerized tubulin over the initial amount with subsequent normalization. The model also made it possible to study the influence of cell geometry in dynamics. Here we see the phenomenon of the distribution of microtubules in a rectangular cell when the density of microtubules is less to the long side of the rectangle than to the short one. The model also reproduced this, showing that this phenomenon is due to the higher probability of complete parsing of short microtubules. The last topic is to be covered will be a computer model of microtubule self-organization in vitro. When microtubules and cell models are added to the solution, microtubule self-organization structures are formed in it. The slide shows the main types, and although some of them were reproduced in models, in order to reproduce all types of them in the model, it was necessary to introduce additional interactions that were not explained by physical laws. We hypothesized that this is due to the fact that the model were two-dimensional, since three-dimensional dynamics models are too comprehensionally complex. As a compromise, a quasi three-dimensional model was created in which microtubules and cell motors moved in a plane following computational simple laws, and with some probability could move between layers. With this model, we were able to create all the structures observable in vitro: stars, funnels, vortices, beams, wells, and semistars. So, as a result of the work, the analysis of cellular images and the classification of such images using convolutional neural networks was carried out. Transfer learning networks performed better, overcoming the quality of peer review, surpassing the quality of peer review. A model of the self-space, including microtubule networks, was developed, allowing the reproduction of complex effects associated with the geometry. And therefore, slide 2, a slide presents publications that highlight the main results of the work. Thank you very much. My question to the members of the Dissertation Committee: do you have any questions strictly on the presentation or on the content of the dissertation itself? Not more than 2 minutes per question. Okay, I understand no questions. Then we continue. Dear colleagues, we are now turning to the reviews. There are no external reviews for the dissertation. Therefore, we will have we'll ask members of the Dissertation Council in turn to assess the dissertation with their reviews, and so I would like to stress that the candidate can answer critical remarks right after the or after all. I suggest that you should answer your critical remarks after each review. Thank you. Yes, members of the Dissertation Committee, all reviews have been published on the dissertation, have been accessible for a long time. Therefore, I would like to ask the Dissertation Committee members to stress only the critical remarks and questions. Do you have any objections? No. Therefore, I would like to give the floor to Mikhail Sergeyevich Gelfand to take the floor. Dear colleagues, I needed to participate in a dissertation committee in a Polytechnic Institute. There are two. This first one is the content aspect of the work, and it deserves the academic degree sought. Results are published, and this work is very useful and very relevant. And I will not go through the commendable part of my review, and I have no criticism of that. As far as the presentation and the the editing part. Well, this is a very short-sized work, and my questions are about some editorial mishaps, and this to be about the images, and it's hard to assess the novelty of the solutions because of the quality of the images, and the descriptions are not very enlightening. The key details of the assessment of the architecture of networks are described in detail, and some simple things such as methods of segmentation are lacking in detail, and so there are some questions to the methodological part of the dissertation. Well, there's some gaps there, and when general results are described, well, the biological description is lacking, and well, because the neural systems help to understand what traits the program uses, and whether they present a biological interest. And I didn't see the focus on this. As far as the conclusions, also very short, and what I didn't find in the discussion of how the methods and results can be generalized. Well, the cells that were interacted with taxol and the cells were not, that didn't interact with taxols. This is the only distinction I saw, and there's only one experiment, and whether it's enough to come up with such conclusions is an open question, and the perspectives of practical application, I don't want to revamp the whole experiment, but experimental part, but should be augmented, I think, and so this is well, these are all editorial remarks, really, and the conceptual part is from the conceptual point of view, it's a very good work, and the results, again, as I said, published in good journals and presented at international conferences. So that means that Aleksei Shpilman deserves to be awarded the academic degree of a candidate of engineering sciences, and so I support the dissertation, and all my editorial remarks will be accounted for, I think, by the author. Aleksei Aleksandrovich, thank you very much. As far as the laconicity, excessive laconicity, I agree. As far as the interpretation, we looked at the convolutions and of the networks that are newly trained. We didn't see anything that could be interpreted, but they used the same convolutions that are used in normal that are used in dogs and cats, and so on. We are now doing an experiment on a big class well, on 4, the same results can be are achieved in other 3 larger samples where large populations. So we are still working on it. Thank you very much. I now would like to give the floor to the next reviewer, Professor Helge Bergenschnott.
So, thank you. You want to have my questions or complete the review now?
A complete review, but you can abridge it. So just in your own words, your review.
Okay, so I will include my questions. Okay. So, I mean, the goal of this thesis is to study the microtubule structures and using different approaches and accumulating data sets and creating new methods to analyze this. And looking overall, I think the aim of the thesis has been reached. And I think there are a variety of different approaches and which are very helpful. And I think one of the notable things is that there has been creation of data sets which are very valuable of the images. And there are also then neuronal networks that have been created on this. And the work also creates the programs that do the modeling, and they seem to be working and doing what they are supposed to be. The results show that there is a good alignment with what you could have been expected according to previous data. Overall, the work is novel and has useful applications, and it could be developed obviously more in the thesis to understand how this could be translated to other different problems. There is clarification of the biological relevance, even though I agree with the previous referees that it could be extended more, because that would also be helpful in translating the information to the programs to other fields. I think that my main comment here or concern would be to further develop these concepts for publication and to understand also better the novelty, or rather to define the novelty better. And novelty is an abstract concept, and it is important to understand the state of the art and describe the state of the art. That means that you have to describe the competing programs or the alternative softwares that are available. And then you have to make the claim of the novelty. And this is something that could be useful to publish the work and give a more concrete benchmark towards other available software. It would obviously be very useful to test these software on a larger scale data and see better what is the strength and what is the limitation of the different approaches, which would be very useful for a publication process. So that is my general comment. And overall, I would say that this is clearly novel. It's based on substantial science. It is well written. It's interesting to read, and it's innovative. And there is a substantial amount of high quality experiments. And based on this assessment, I'm very pleased to recommend that this work would be awarded to the degree of Candidate of Technical Sciences. So overall, I'm very happy and pleased and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to come here. I have prepared a number of other questions about details of the thesis, but I'm not really sure if we have time to go through that all. I would, for example, like to know more about the support vector machines and the hyperplane. What is the strength of it and what is the limitation? How this different or how the neuronal network actually work in the terms of potential overfitting, and how they compared with the other techniques that are described in the thesis. But I think we do not really have a huge amount of time in this format, so maybe I will rest my case now and thank you very much for the opportunity to being here and to review this very good work. Thank you very much.
Спасибо большое, профессор Шиот. Я думаю, что мы располагаем письменным отзывом профессора Шиота, соответственно.
I think that you have submitted a written review, so we're fine. So please answer the questions.
For your remarks considering novelty and bettering the work for publication, we are planning to do just that. As for the remark considering SVM, it is raising an interesting point. And SVM, of course, a method that is almost mathematically guaranteed to be controllable in terms of overfitting. So this is why we can use it on a small data set. And the performance is shown on par with a small neural network. In terms of where the hyperplane lies, we cannot tell because the dimensions it's too high dimensional, because we take the output features from the pre-trained convolutional neural network. So there are hundreds of dimensions. That's it.
Спасибо большое. Я думаю, что мы можем...
I think we can now turn to the next reviewer. I want to side with those, with all the opinions that have been voiced. The work deserves endorsement. And there are some questions, of course. As far as the content, I like that the author could find a model that could solve this biological problem, and it was a very interesting one. This impressed me, and this was an attempt to formalize this very complex structure, which was under question, and this work is therefore commendable. On the other hand, I would like to stress that there's some, well, although we heard that the work is minimalist, there are some things that you should have actually dropped, omitted. There's some trivial things that they're not fitting for the dissertation and of this level, and maybe this dissertation could have been short and in favor of an experimental part. And if you look at the table 3.1 on page 43, if it's interesting it would be interesting to have these figures interpreted. The 6%. This is great, and in comparison, well, compared to expert opinion and the results, as I understand, the number of assessments is not very high, and this has not been commented on in the dissertation, but overall, I would like to state that the dissertation is worthy of the degree, the sought degree, and this phrase is in the review. Therefore, I was not going to quote, and therefore, the applicant deserves the sought degree to be awarded to him, of candidate of engineering sciences. Thank you very much. Lev Vladimirovich, thank you. Aleksei Aleksandrovich. Should I answer only the questions that have been voiced, or all on to the questions that I agree regarding the lack of detailed and the thank you very much. What's over simplistic. Well, I did it for the non-specialist readers. As far as the questions from the review. Well, as far there was a question about the elasticity of the model. We tried to make the membrane elastic, and the it's not rigid but elastic. In the early stage of our research, we experimented with an elastic membrane. This complicated the calculations and did not lead to qualitatively different results. Therefore, it was decided to abandon the development in this direction. And however, an elastic membrane will be needed if it comes to experimental cell movement. As to the question of forming a set of parameters, some of the parameters were estimated according to the relevance-rich part, calculated from other known parameters. The individual parameters were adjusted so that the overall model was consistent with the observations. Thank you very much, Aleksei Aleksandrovich. The next one, Svetlana Mikhailovna Bauer. I'm very happy not to be the first, because I am the least versed in these issues. But I participated in many conferences on mathematical modeling, and I can understand that this work is at the front of science, and this program packages, software packages, part is very important because they help us to take decisions in medicine and so on. But I would like to side with the previous speaker, Mikhail Sergeyevich. This work is at the interface of different sciences, and I would have seen even bigger, larger number of pages, and I have some issues with the new terms. Maybe this work should have been made easier to read, because I've read a lot to understand this, and additional literature, and I'm very grateful to it, but still you should have been clearer in the work, but this person, of course, is accustomed to communication with peers and colleagues, but I like this work, and the candidate deserves the sought degree of candidate of engineering sciences. Thank you very much, Vera Mikhailovna. Aleksei Aleksandrovich, thank you very much. I agree that some terms should have been defined better and make the dissertation more accessible. Thank you. Dear colleagues, there's only me left, the chairman of the dissertation committee. I will not read my review completely, as it's published on the website of St. Petersburg University. I think that we all talked about it. This interdisciplinarity of the dissertation. This is a work done for 2 or 3 candidates in different fields, and all these drawbacks of dissertation that we outlined, too short, in some places too long, in other places too basic in one place, and too unexplained in another place. This is a reflection of this, because different experts from different fields have looked at in this dissertation, and this is and this is our cooperation, and this cooperation with the High School of Economics is fruitful, and we had this had a very detailed presentation from the candidate there, and we discussed it, and had a great debate, and well, therefore, I would like to there's the following, and there's not enough argumentation that neural network will not retrain with this small amount of data, and that's the microtubules that are in the neighboring layers don't interact, and have there been any alternative models of microtubules? How is the size of the cylinders justified, from which the model of microtubules consist of, and what other temporal dependencies accounted for in the synthesis of configurations of microtubules, and so your answers, please. Well, as far as regarding the remark about the lack of a detailed argumentation that a neural network will not retrain with the relatively small sample size available to the researcher, retraining a network is directly related to its size. With a sufficient small network size and using a regularization technique, it can be practically guaranteed that the network will not overfit. About the estimation of the discretization effect on the representation of space in the form of layers between which microtubules do not attract, microtubules have a sufficiently small diameter to freely move through each other in 3-dimensional space, and therefore the use of layers is quite justified. And moreover, even within one layer, microtubules may not interact, which is controlled by a probabilistic process in the model. As for the alternative models of microtubules, most of the other models were controlled by linear laws, and microtubules were presented as indivisible linear objects. We wanted to go down to the level of organization below and understand whether it's possible to explain dynamics of non by chemical interaction. As for the temporal dependencies in the synthesis of microtubule configurations, it is also, on the one hand, a matter of simulation time, and the time step was chosen so that experiments could be carried out in a reasonable time. At the same time, our model does not have complex manually set temporal dependencies inherent in other models. As for the remark about moving microtubules in the cell, this would, of course, be a wonderful amalgamation of research directions. It's quite possible that we will carry out such a research project. Thank you very much. Dear Dissertation Committee members, are you all satisfied with the answers of the candidate? Yes. Yes, satisfied, yes.
Yes.
So we are then registering that everybody is satisfied. And now the floor is open to those who are not members of the station. In this COVID times, we have no members of the public in the room, really, because only... and I would like to say that, so I would like to ask if we have had any questions by email. No questions, no comments. Therefore, no need to answer on these such questions. And so the academic advisor then the floor is yours, Alex. And please tell us about Boris Aleksandrovich. Please tell us about the candidate. Well, there's no need to go over the dissertation. Well, in a compact way, Aleksei Aleksandrovich talked about it. And when I thought about my presentation, I wanted to talk about the interdisciplinarity, and Aleksandrovich had presaged me, and therefore the work is strong, but because it's at the interface of different areas, very dynamically developing, it's hard to compile a dissertation committee that would be eager, ready to discuss. And the setting, St. Petersburg University setting, has allowed us to compile such a dissertation committee, and I think the comments about the incompleteness of some term descriptions and so on, and the work was written a lot of time ago, long ago, and today it should have been made in a slightly different way, but it was written at the time when the experiment was carried out and so on, and therefore it's fine. We have the results that the candidate after the completion of this research has studied things in other areas also related to practical medicine, and using neural systems, networks. And I'd like to state that Aleksei Aleksandrovich is an established researcher and can be a leader of research teams, and therefore he can be awarded an academic degree of candidate of engineering sciences. Thank you. Dear colleagues, do you have anyone here among members of the Dissertation Committee or anyone present to make a comment? No takers. So, therefore, the discussion and the acceptance of questions is over. So, before we deliberate, are members of the Dissertation Committee or the candidate do they have any questions or objections to the technology and to the online procedure? Mikhail Sergeyevich, do you have any questions or objections? You have to say yes or no. No. Next. Professor Helge Bilge-Schjot, do you have any questions as to the procedure?
No, I'm very happy. Thank you very much. No more questions.
Спасибо большое.
Thank you very much. Lev Vladimirovich Utkin, any questions as to the procedure? No, nothing. Thank you. Svetlana Mikhailovna Bauer, questions? No. Thank you very much. No questions. And then the next item on the agenda, there will be formal work. My questions to the members of the Dissertation Committee. Dear colleagues, before we vote, we have a chance to convene for deliberation in a closed format, behind the doors format. Do we need that time? No need. No. Okay. No need to deliberate behind closed doors. It's all very clear, and therefore there's no need for a break for behind the closed doors deliberation, and therefore we proceed to the voting. All members of the Dissertation Committee should voice their opinion when they vote. Okay, the broadcast is on, and so this is a decisive moment for the dissertation session. Can we all hear and see each other? Yes, I can see each other, and everybody can see each other. And I would like to put the question to the vote, a resolution to award Aleksei Aleksandrovich Shpilman an academic degree of candidate of engineering sciences. And I would like to remind you that to inform you that this dissertation has not violated the plagiarism clause of the procedure awarding academic degrees, and therefore the dissertation is worthy of the defense, and would like to remind you that not fewer than half of the members of the Dissertation Council should vote in favor of the resolution to award the sought academic degree in order for the academic committee to take the positive verdict. Member of the station, Bauer Svetlana Mikhail, your opinion? He deserves the academic degree, so you endorse the positive verdict. A member of the committee, Mikhail Sergeyevich Gelfand, your opinion? He deserves the academic degree. Thank you very much, Mikhail Sergeyevich, for the voting. Lev Vladimirovich Utkin, your opinion? Undoubtedly, he deserves the academic degree. Thank you very much for your positive opinion. Member of the committee, Helge Virshot, your opinion, please?
Yes, I vote in favor. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So this opinion is positive again. And I, chairman of the committee, Aleksandrovich Tulupiev, also would like to state that the applicant deserves the sought academic degree, and therefore, out of the 5 members of the Dissertation committee, all have voted in favor of the resolution to award the academic degree, and therefore, dear members and the Dissertation Council, dear colleagues, so therefore 5 members of the Dissertation Committee voted against, no one has voted against, no one has abstained, and therefore the decision to award Aleksei Aleksandrovich Shpilman an academic degree of candidate of engineering sciences in the degree field 1.2.2 mathematical numerical methods and software packages has been taken, and concluding words from the candidate. I am overwhelmed with emotion. It's been a long road. Thank you very much to Elena Nadezhda and Professor Novikov. With Nadezhda we started this work, and with Professor Novikov finished it and completed it. And I would like to thank the staff of St. Petersburg University with the help in this very hard work on defending my dissertation. Thank you very much. On behalf of myself and you, I'd like to thank the candidate on the achieving of the results and on awarding the being awarded the academic degree of candidate of engineering sciences. I'd like to shake your hands. Thank you. Dear colleagues, the session is now closed. Thank you very much for participating. The broadcast must be switched off. Thank you.